Mistake number one, and this first one, well, it now makes me over £10,000 every year.
What?
But the mistake was missing out the opportunity cost of not doing this. So what am I talking about? Well, I think most other business owners, have a bank account, and that bank account pays 0.0% interest. And that's pretty standard. And for years, I just kept all my business money, all my client account money, all in this bank account paying 0%. And then one day I realized there are business savings accounts that are instant access, meaning you put your money in, you earn interest on it, but when you need it out, you can get it immediately. And that changed everything. Since then, those are the bank accounts that I store my business funds, revenue in, and when I need it, I just take it back out. But in the meantime, every day it's sitting earning interest, and that interest adds up to over £10,000 per year for me doing nothing. So if you're using a shitty old 0% business bank account, make a sensible choice and at least start putting it into a business savings account throughout the month. Mistake number two, and this is one that I've made, and I guarantee almost all business owners make this, especially at the start. And it's, you're running your business, you're getting that money in, you're loving life, things are going great, and then your accountant hits you with a tax bill. Now, of course, we all know we need to pay tax, but it's hard to keep track of exactly what tax is going to be and when it is. Maybe that's just me, but I know for a fact that loads of people get nasty surprises once a year when the tax bill comes. Now, there's multiple ways around that. Most new bank accounts on these sort of challenger banks like Monzo, Starling, all those ones, you can create different pots so that when money comes in, it's split and you can have a tax pot. So 20% or 40% or whatever your tax rate is, that amount is split and goes into that pot. So hopefully when the time you get that horrible email from your accountant to say your tax bill is this, it should be exactly the same as what's in that tax pot. But just be careful, and if you can't do that, the tax pots, just keep enough money in the business bank account. Speak to your accountant, have an idea of what the sort of bill is coming to, just so you don't get any nasty surprises. Mistake number three, and again, this is a huge opportunity cost that I was missing out on for years. Now, the return here is not as good as the £10,000 it is, like it is in the business savings account, but it's a pretty damn good one nonetheless. And for years, all I did whenever I had expenses was to just do a wee bank transfer from that same shitty 0.0% business bank account. And then one day I realized or discovered what rewards cards are. These business rewards cards are ways to pay for your expenses that you got to pay for anyway, but when you use the card to pay for them, you get a reward. And there are multiple ones out there. I have two. The two I use are Capital on Tap, which is pretty amazing because whatever you pay for, it gives you 1% back. So you can either take that money off your bill to them, you can take it as cash, or you can take it as rewards that you can turn into points for like Avios, or you can use for your shopping, stuff like that. That's personally what I do. So we use the Capital on Tap card to like buy all of our business stuff. Every business expense gets used on that card, and then we get 1% of that back that we can just convert to a gift card that's basically just free money. And there's a link below. It is an affiliate link. If you register, you get 75 quid, I get 75 quid. We're all winners here. The other card that I use is an Amex, and this thing's game changing as well. So not only does it get you, check it on their website, there's a link below. Not only does it get you like priority access to all like the fancy lounges in the airports, which is very cool, you get points that you can then convert to Avios. So if you want to have like business class flights or any of that cool stuff, it's very good. Also, and again, you need to go deep into this. I'm not down the rabbit hole completely of using the points perfectly just yet, but if you're in the UK, you can use your Amex card and you can convert them to Nectar, which I think actually gives you a boost in points. 3 Amex points gets you 4 Nectar points, so you can effectively create free money. But again, it's very cool. Again, there's an affiliate link down below where you get like something like 30,000 Amex points, which is like 30,000 Avios points. I don't know where you could fly to for that, but it's pretty cool. Now, mistake number 4. And this is a mistake I didn't even know I was making. Like so many of these, you don't know you're making it. That's why this video is here. But I didn't know I was making it until I brought a new property onto the market. So I had one property, it was booked up, it was doing well. I brought my second one on, obviously completely empty calendar. I set it live. I hadn't even finished optimizing everything. The rates were all crazy expensive. But what happened almost immediately was I got, for a couple of months in advance, a 2-month booking. Like a 2-month booking. I hadn't even set up my discounted rates so that early early booker discount for in the future, or discounted for the length of stay. I hadn't set any of that up. But 2-month booking came in at crazy high, like my base rate, crazy high rate. I was like, how the hell have I just got a 2-month booking at that rate? It was like, I can't even remember what it was. It was like $2,000, $3,000 or something. It was mad. And I was like, surely this place with no reviews is not the cheapest place in Belfast. Surely my other apartment, which is running for longer, has more reviews, is definitely going to be cheaper because I have all this algorithm set up. But no, when I looked at my other one, I looked at that calendar, those 2 months were peppered with little short stays, with 1 night, 2 nights, a couple of 3 nights. My other property would never have showed up for that search because that calendar, that diary was peppered. I then looked online on booking.com and there was nothing available. Apart from the place that I had just brought, nothing was available for those 2 months. And so the mistake here is way in advance allowing short stays, because the problem with those are if you pepper your calendar with 1 night and 2 night stays way in the future, when people are looking to book a big long stay, you're just not going to show up. Now, this is ballsy. You've got to be brave to do this because it is scary to go into a month or a quarter and have a minimum stay restriction of 5, 6, or 7 nights, because you're going to have probably no bookings in there. And I know that it's a safety blanket that we all like to think, okay, well, there's at least my weekends are filled. But those weekends are coming at the expense of potentially a 2-week, 3-week, 2-month booking that's going to just set you up for an entire quarter with hardly any work, with really good profitability. Like, those are the gold standard. Now, I know this might not be possible in your location depending on where you are. I'm in a city where there are lots of people traveling for these corporate stays and contractors that come for long periods of time, but you might surprise yourself where you are in your location. Mistake number 5. This is another one that the opportunity cost probably was the biggest opportunity cost ever. Probably cost me hundreds of thousands of pounds because I made this mistake over and over and over again for years until I decided that I would change it. What do I mean? Well, whenever I would set a property live, I would go to my seasonal rates. So I had low season, mid season, high season, and then within those seasons, I would have midweek, weekend stays rates. I would also then set up discount for if you come for 2 nights, it's this amount, come for 3 nights, minus 5%, 4 nights, minus 10%, always trying to encourage these things. So it was quite complex. So I thought I was doing a great stand-up job, but it was static, didn't change. So what happened was these all went live. I would then spend at least an hour, potentially more than an hour a day, looking at the rates, looking in advance, being like, oh, there's a 2-night gap tomorrow. I need to change those rates and try and get a booking in. Looking way in advance. Oh, right, I'm projecting forward to the summer. The summer's at 30% occupancy. Last year I was at 40% occupancy by this stage, so I think I need to do something here. Headspace, real estate, stress, time. Now, I thought I was doing very smart things because there was so much complexity here and all the rest, but in reality, I was missing out on hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of bookings, and it's because I was trying to do it myself. I'd always seen Price Labs and Wheelhouse and other rate pricing software and thought, yeah, but they're just gonna be like the Airbnb smart pricing, and I know that's shit, and hopefully we all know that that is complete shit. And then one day I thought, well, it can't be that shit, because like Airbnb's one is in Airbnb, so of course people maybe will use it, but if they don't use it, Airbnb doesn't care. But I'm like, how are these companies that do this, it's their only job is to adjust hosts like me pricing? If they weren't doing a good job, would anyone still use them? So I got reached out, I did the free trial, which you can get by the link below, Price Labs. Actually, Price Labs wasn't the first one I used a different one before that, and I ended up changing. But what it did, that first one, was open my eyes to the possibilities of these algorithms, of the possibilities of what they could do, not only in terms of putting the prices up and like maximizing the rates that you can charge. So like I said, I was looking at these gaps and I was saying, oh, I need to fill this gap, put the price down. Oh, the summer's not filled as much as I want, put the price down. I never looked at, oh, I set these rates for low, mid and high season last year. You know, I could charge more than that. Never looked at that, never came into my head. Sure, when a big event came, I would put the price up, be like, oh, add on 20%, poof, and it would sell, and I'd be all pleased with myself. But what I was missing was that price potentially could have went 50%, 100% higher. I was not delving deep enough into the entire market to know what everyone else was doing at any given day. I would take a snapshot, add a wee bit here, take a wee bit away here. It was haphazard. I wasn't giving it my all. And once I plugged in price labs, it was just game changing. There's a link below with a free trial. Honestly, if you try it, you will never go back. It puts your prices to rates that you would never do yourself. And wait till you see, because bookings come in. And add to that, the way it reduces prices, it reduces your rates gradually instead of like slashing them because you've panicked. It reduces them gradually and gets bookings in at the most competitive price, so you don't have to go rock bottom. Just try it. It's game changing. All right, mistake number 6. Now we all know what it's like to get a property live. You've put so much work in to getting it ready. Everything's done. You've built the listing. You're just like, let's just go. You hit go live. It's live. Bookings come in. You're like, yes, happy days. This is terrifying, but let's go. You're like, right, just a few things left to do. This is the problem. This is the mistake. One of the things that I had left to do, and maybe it's the same with you as well, because it's one of the easiest things to forget, is getting your Wi-Fi, getting your broadband set up. I forgot about that because I was so invested in the furniture and in the paint and in the photos that the actual Wi-Fi, which is sort of invisible, skipped my mind until very near the end. And I registered it for it, but it was going to take just under 2 weeks for the router and for everything to get connected up. I didn't want to wait that long. I wanted some bloody bookings. I needed some cash. So I set it live. And I thought, you know what? It's new. People will be fine. I'll just tell them. So we got some guests in. And in this particular property, I had to say, hey, thanks for booking. Just to let you know, there's no Wi-Fi. It hasn't arrived yet. And they were like, right, fine. They seemed fine. I was like, oh, it's no bother. They arrived. First booking, 3 out of 5 stars. This place does not have Wi-Fi. Oh, like that stung. Next booking, it already confirmed before I could even do anything to actually get the thing, another review, 2 out of 5. Yeah, the place isn't ready yet. They shouldn't really be hosting guests yet. I'm like, shit. First 2 reviews are a 3 and a 2 out of 5. Like, that is extremely hard to come back from. So the mistake that I made, and the mistake that I hope you never make, is to go live unless the property has everything it needs for guests to use it like perfectly. Like, you need those first reviews to be 5 stars. Now, so what we've done since then is when we have a property and it's ready to go, don't have the Wi-Fi set up yet, you can get these portable Wi-Fi devices, which in fact you just buy data from. They are a wee bit more expensive. The guests do burn through it because it is a limited amount. You have to like load up data onto it, but it's worth every penny if it stops you getting a negative review because guests say, your place isn't ready yet. Mistake number 7. This is one I made, and this is one I see people making all the time. People have commented to me on these videos. I've dealt with it in the community. It's a thing that happens a lot, and it's a thing that I think happens because when we look at our electricity provider or our broadband provider, you think, well, you all give me broadband, so I just need the cheapest one. Or you look at your electricity and you're like, we all give me electricity, I just need the cheapest one. Like, everything else is the same except the price, so I just need to get the cheapest version. And actually the broadband is probably a better example here, because whilst you still will get broadband for varying prices, there are things that do change. How good is the connection? What is the speed you're going to get? What is the upload you're going to get? How reliable is it? As well as the price. And so what I'm trying to translate this to here, and the mistake that I made and loads of people make, is that when you're choosing a channel manager or a PMS, going by the price alone. That is not the way to evaluate whether you should be using a particular channel manager or not. There are ones out there that are free, basically, like free to like there are ones that are almost free. It's mad. So you think you get what you pay for there. When I used them, they didn't even connect to Airbnb. So like, what was the point of that? There are others that are channel managers that try and moonlight or disguise themselves as PMS, as proper property management systems. So they tick boxes on their services or features pages that they say they do, but they don't really do them. And that leads to frustration. That leads to negative experiences for you and your team, as well as the guests. And look, I've been there. I've used, I think, 3 or 4 channel managers, PMSs in my time. All of them were cheap. None of them did what I needed them to do properly. All of them gave me stress and anxiety. And then I moved to Guesty, and it was just like, okay, yes, I'm paying a bit more, but yeah, it's worth every penny. This is not an ad for Guesty. You can get a link below if you want to use it. It is the best in the market. I use it with all 75 of my properties, £4 million in bookings a year. I'm not messing around here. I moved my entire portfolio to it. I don't have any regrets. But like so many things, the price is not the only thing you need to look at. Look at the functionality. Do the free trial with Guesty. You'll see why I moved and loads of other people are using it, and why these cheaper, more basic ones, they're just not worth it. Even though it's not that much money, they're just not worth it. Mistake number 8. Talking of things that are just not worth it. Back in the day, I went through a little phase of being absolutely obsessed. I mean, obsessed with direct bookings. My whole day was like, what can I do to get direct bookings? Because I'm fed up paying 15 or 18% Airbnb and booking. And down my rabbit hole of exploration of how to get better direct bookings, I of course have my own website. It's a no-brainer. This is not what I'm talking about. It's a waste of money. You definitely need one. But I was like, how do I show up first on page 1 of Google? And of course the answer is SEO, or search engine optimization. And if you want to know what that is, it's basically where Google ranks you and says, this website's pretty cool. Loads of people visit this, loads of people stay on it, loads of people read things on it. Like, this is an important website. I'm gonna put it right up to the top. And the way you do that is there's lots of different ways. Some ways are like adding new blogs and stuff like that, like updating stuff and like having keywords and all in it, all this stuff. So I ended up paying an SEO company to do this for me because I'm running the business. I don't have time to do it. I don't want to even learn how to do it. So I started paying, I think it was £200 a month. And over time, that got me a wee bit. And then he was like, yeah, we can do some blogs and stuff for you. So it's £600 a month now. I was like, right, okay. So then I got to page 1. Then all of a sudden, Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, they all started bidding and putting ads out for my name, my business name, Central Belfast Apartments. So even though I was paying this money and showing up first organically, they were paying up with like half of the page 1 in paid pay-per-click search results. And add to that, I started to think, what is the return here on investment? So I'm paying 600 quid a month. Am I getting at least 600 quid a month in direct bookings? And to be honest, the answer was no. Not only was it a no, but because I'm a management company and we manage on behalf of our clients and we take a commission, even if we got £600 worth of direct bookings, we take 23% of that. So I don't even know what 23% of 600 is, but I was the one that was paying for the SEO, not the clients. So it just made no sense. It was a complete waste of money. And I actually think my obsession, and a lot of people's obsessions that they have with direct bookings, is also a bit of a waste of time and money. Now, that is controversial. I'm not saying don't go for direct bookings. We all want them. But think of the return on the investment. Think of how much time you're putting in to get that direct booking back. We have a steady stream of bookings coming from Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia. Yeah, we don't like it, we don't want to pay for them, but they are doing a lot of the donkey work. They're paying hundreds or thousands of pounds to show up higher in search results than you on your own name. They're working hard to fill our properties so they get their commission. So I found the best way to get direct bookings is to capture repeat bookings that come first through those channels. Talking about another waste of money is mistake number 9. So as part of wanting to do my SEO journey and show up higher, I also thought, well, I know what's important now, video. No-brainer, I'm here, hello. But before this channel existed for me to show you how to run Airbnbs or serviced accommodation or short-term rentals yourself, this channel existed to show off my properties. So it used to be called Central Belfast Apartments, and it used to have videos like this, which I hope I can now show you, showing my properties and trying to get viewers on YouTube, viewers on Instagram, viewers on TikTok to be like, oh shit, I need to go to Belfast and I'm gonna go stay in that property. I was then able to use these in blogs to further push myself up on SEO on Google on page 1. Did it work? Did it fuck? For a start, Instagram and TikTok seem to just really show video content to the local area. So like loads of people in Belfast were seeing that my company had loads of apartments, and that's not what I wanted. I did not want Belfast people to come and book. I wanted Americans, I wanted Australians, I wanted Spanish, but it doesn't show that. And unless I was really talking about those people, it's not going to make that link and send it out there. On top of that, I wasn't doing the video content. I was paying a video agency a lot of money to come and do that. That was not a good return on investment either. To be honest though, complete sideline, which I did not expect to do, I did then segue into making quite a lot of videos myself. I was in those videos with them, showcasing Belfast. We showcased the best Guinness, best restaurants, best tours, all that sort of stuff. And I actually really enjoyed that. That channel exists still on Instagram and TikTok. It's called Central Belfast Apartments. You can go and have a look at it. I interview tourists. What about you guys from?
We're from San Diego, California.
Is this your first time in Belfast?
Yes, first time in Ireland.
I love that sort of stuff. But ultimately, I knocked that on the head as well because it wasn't bringing a return on investment for the business. It was money going out, and it was a lot of money going out every month. So if you're thinking about doing video content, either do it yourself or get a family member to do it, or just don't bother. Mistake number 10. This is one that, again, I think a lot of people fall into, and they fall into it for the right reasons. It's for the reassurance factor. When I first started outsourcing my cleaning, I had a little team of 2, and they were great. It was 2 sisters. They were so good. They were from my town, but we got too big. We got too many cleans, too much last minute changes, and they couldn't do it anymore. I went to a cleaner. It was 1 person. They were even less. So I had 2 people, 2 random people who didn't know each other, and it was too hard to try and juggle them. And then I saw the shining light of a cleaning agency that rolled into my DMs and was like, hey, we're an agency specializing in Airbnb cleans. Do you need any Airbnb cleans? And I was like, yes, I do. They came along, and like every cleaning agency, I've done this. I've been through 3 or 4, at least 3. And every single one of them, when they come to have the meeting at the apartment, you show them the apartment and they go, and they run their finger along things. They're like, not good. And it's so funny. Like I told my team, I've told my friends about, because every single time, that's what they do. They shit on the current ones and they're like, yeah, we would be better than this. And at the start they are. Everyone cares about their new clients. But after a while, the cleaning agency realizes that you are so reliant on them. And after a while, you just become another customer and they don't really care. The people who are coming to clean your properties are often brand new because the cleaning agency has just employed them that day because the last person just told them to F off. So they're brand new and they're coming to your apartment. They don't know where it is. They don't know how to get in. They've never been to it before. They don't do a great job. You feed it back to the agency. Oh, I'm really sorry. We won't send that person again. We'll send someone else the next time. The next time rolls around, that person doesn't get sent, but the person that does get sent doesn't show up. These agencies can be quite big. They can have like dozens of cleaners all going out every day. They can be hard to keep track of. And I've said it before, but the cleaning industry, the housekeeping industry is transient. It's not a job that most people dream of whenever they're younger, but it's a job and an industry that I think people realize very quickly once they're in, they can just go about from place to place. They can leave one agency in a hail of swear words and they can start a job in the next one the next day. It's mad. And that might be great for them, but it's not great for us as business owners. We need consistency, we need trust, we need reliability, and that, I'm afraid, does not come from a cleaning agency. And I've told this story loads of times, but multiple times we have been left right in the shit. I mean, right in the shit. Last minute, the cleaning agency, because of constant criticism and negative feedback that I've given them based on their cleans from brand new cleaners into our properties, which has been reported by our checks or our guests, leading to negative reviews. You feed that back, look guys, this needs to change. Here's the checklist. Like, please send me someone who's been here before multiple times. This has resulted in the owner of the agency just saying, do you know what? Fuck it. And they're just like, cut ties. We're done here. You're getting no more cleans. Goodbye. And that has left us right in the shit with multiple cleans within a few days and no one to clean them. So if you're growing, even if not growing, even if you just have a life and you have other plans, you do not want to ever be completely exposed to one cleaning agency that deals with all your cleans. If the relationship sours, you will be left right in the shit. Number 11. This is something that happens in the winter and something we get some pressure for from our clients at different periods over the year. And it's in periods of low demand when we have a minimum stay of 3 nights and our price has reduced down to be as competitive and as cheap as we can make it, the pressure to reduce that minimum stay further. Because what can often happen is you reduce the minimum stay and the nightly rate, and whilst you get some money in our case around 200 quid, that booking can actually make a loss after all the costs are taken off it. So commission to the booking sites, our commission, cleaning, linen, welcome pack. There are lots of costs that come off every changeover. And so you need to have a break-even cost that you're aware of. And it is at times then better to just leave the property empty than to take a booking that's actually going to cost you money. Mistake number 12. And this is one where I can remember very clearly. I was at 6 properties. I just got married. I was feeling exceptionally stressed and overwhelmed. I was burning out. I was really starting to hate the business. And eventually then I looked at hiring someone. And so the mistake here is waiting for so long so that when I was so stressed and burned out that I was like, come and work in my business and I give you all of my shit that I'm struggling to cope with. I waited too long to do that. In reality, and if I was starting again now, I would pick certain tasks and get VAs to just deal with that specific thing. So you deal with the communication, you deal with scheduling the cleans. The biggest drains, the most time consuming things that happen every day, those are things that I would box up, compartmentalize and be like, fucking see ya. But in reality, what I did was waited far too long, got one person in and was like, here's all the shit, you deal with that. And it just didn't work. And that leads me to mistake number 13, which is when I got that person in, I was a really shit boss. So I don't know if any of you are bringing in staff or have a team or have a VA, but it can be really hard to let go of your baby that you have built, that you know this is how I do things. It can be very difficult to let go of that and to trust someone else. What often happens, what happened to me, maybe it's happened to you as well, is that you end up micromanaging, questioning every little decision and judgment that that person makes. What took you so long to reply to that? Why did you use that word? Why did you do it that way? I showed you how to do it this way. What? Just questioning everything. And what that does to that person is just completely demoralize them, completely disempower them so that they are too shit scared to make any decisions, to do anything off their own bat. And all that happens is you create a monster and a worse job for yourself. Because whenever anything goes wrong, all that person does is, for fear of you shouting at them because they've done something wrong, they just get on the phone to you, message you, bring the shit up to you. And so in reality, you haven't really got anyone to do any of the work. All they do is just remind you what the work is. They bring it to you and say, what do I need to do here? It's so frustrating. So for anyone who is bringing in a team member, a VA, member of staff, trust them, empower them, give them a chance to show you what they can do. All right, mistake number 14. Back in the day, we were coming out, we were smashing it with all like deluxe apartments, best apartments in the city. We were getting loads of inquiries for corporate stays and they did not have the budget to be paying for our high-end apartments for these longer stays. But I hated turning away money. I've done other videos about how, whenever you get this over and over again in your head, you're usually onto something. So I hated turning away money. So I decided I'm gonna bring some properties to the market that aren't high-end, that don't have the bells and whistles of our luxury ones that can't charge the highest nightly rates, but that's not what they're for. They're for these corporate stays. They're for these 3-week, 4-week, 2-month bookings at the lower rates. And in principle, that was a great idea. But in reality, in practice, how that played out was the properties that we got were just shit. They weren't budget, they were shit. Budget is clean, new, modern, but no bells and whistles. What we got was old, tired, dirty shit. And guess what? Every inquiry we got for these longer term stays, we said, aha, yes, we have these perfect properties. Here you go. This will be £50 a night. And they came back and was like, no fucking thanks. That place looks shit. And so the mistake here is mixing up what budget actually means. It does not mean cheap and nasty. It means cheap, but nice and modern and new and clean and tidy. And so we had to get rid of those properties. Sharpish. Mistake number 15. And this is one that, again, in a city centre, you're gonna have these instances where properties like this come on. We're a management company. I pride myself on saying that we turn away 90% of the properties, maybe 95% of the properties that people bring to us, because in my eyes, they're in the wrong location. Now in Belfast, we have some very wrong locations, and I'm sure in most cities, you have inner city areas which are definitely wrong location. But in Belfast, there are some other areas that are lovely areas to live in, very nice areas, but they're not on the tourist trail. And this is the key. If you're in a city centre, guests, leisure visitors, tourists want to be close to the action. They don't want to live in the suburbs, even if it's the fancy suburbs. It's too far away. They don't care if you're close to the best schools. They want to be close to the museums and the cafes and the restaurants. So multiple times over the years, we have taken on beautiful properties, but they're just not in the right location. They're in a highly desirable place to live, but not in a highly desirable place for guests to come and stay in. So what happens is those properties don't get many bookings. We have to reduce the rates down, and the client or the property owner is like, what the fuck? You're reducing my unbelievable property down to nightly rates lower than I would get that if I was just renting them out. And so it's a timely reminder for me, for my team, and for you, hopefully, that you have to think about the location. You have to think about the experience. Not only when the guests get there, but before they book. They're gonna look at the map and they're gonna see the name of your town or city, and that is where they're gonna decide, I need to get as close to that word as possible. And if your word's out here, they don't know. They're looking at a map. They can't see property prices here, or this is close to the nearest school. the best schools. They don't care about that. They just want to know, am I close to the action? And if it's not, they're just going to pass it on by and not book it. Mistake number 16. And as well as taking on bad properties, I in the past, and if you're a management company as well, you will have dealt with this, taking on bad clients. When you take on a new property, you're effectively taking on a partner, someone who you're going to have to work with, someone who they believe you work for. So you have to have and be able to have a good working relationship. The best clients are the ones that you never hear from and you never bother them and they're happy. You're just like piling money into their account every month. The worst clients are the ones who think they know better than you, who question every little decision, recommend and suggest you do things, which just throws your whole entire practice and systems out of whack, and then complain whenever the results aren't good. They're like, well, you should have told me. Ugh, this business is hard enough with nightmare guests. We do not need nightmare clients, nightmare property owners. No apartment or property is worth keeping on the books if it means the bad client comes with them. Sack them, fire them, tell them to F off. It is not worth it. Not for you, not for your guests, and not for your team to have to deal with. Mistake number 17, and this is one I think everyone is going to have dealt with before. I have dealt with it a couple of times, and now I will never deal with it again. And it's not trusting your gut when a booking comes in and you're like, I don't like the look of this booking. I think this booking is here to cause trouble. And the problem with these things is they can be so subjective. I might have a bad feeling about it, but my team might not. And so what you need to do is develop a strong vetting procedure, which is just a system that everyone follows no matter what, so that it takes the subjectivity out of it. And these are objective results of, oh shit, this is 6 guys who live half a mile down the road. They're all 17. No, they're not coming in. You have to trust your gut when it comes to these things. If you haven't been stung yet, please trust your gut, because if you don't, you will get stung. You will get hit with a bad set of guests who come and just wreck the place. If you don't want that to happen, there's a link below to the blueprint where I have the vetting procedure that we use. Please protect yourself. There's a reason why in my book, there's an entire section, one of my P's is protection. Like, it is so important. Mistake number 18, and this is one of them ones that I lie awake at night sometimes thinking about, and it's a long-term guest that we had who was paying months in advance, 1 month in advance, next month in advance, next month in advance. He was here for months. He paid us crazy amounts of money. And 1 month he said, listen, I know I've been paying you way months in advance. I've done that for like 4 months. Like, my business, my company, Citibank, he called it, want to change how we do it. They want to change it through a different invoicing thing where you invoice them and then they pay it after. All very plausible and above board. I was like, right. Okay, first month came, didn't pay it on time. Oh, it's just problems with the invoicing section. Finance team has it. Eventually the payment came through. Next month, another delay. Oh, it's the finance team. Oh, the person, my contact is gone. All the rest. It got to a point where months went by, no money had been paid. The client who owned the property is at me like, how on earth could you have let this happen? It honestly seemed so plausible. We eventually had to kick the guy out. The whole thing was a facade. He did not work in Citibank. He had just basically ran out of money. The whole thing was the weirdest thing ever. I had to like take him to small claims court. He vanished. I had to pay like a private investigator to track him down. He tracked him down to a men's hostel. By the time my court thing went to summon him to court, he'd already gone. He's gone. He disappeared. One of the strangest things that's ever happened to me in this industry. But the mistake was letting a long-term guest switch from paying in advance to paying in arrears. Never, ever, ever let that happen to you. If someone can't pay, get them out immediately. Mistake number 19. Again, this is one that I think so many people do, especially if you're starting out in your first property, especially if money is tight, and it's trying to do all the jobs yourself to save money because you literally don't have the money to pay a professional. You're like, how hard can this be? You try and do it yourself. Now, not only is there a huge opportunity cost because this renovation is going to take you 3 or 4 times as long as if you got professionals in, but there's the chance for even worse mistakes. And this is a mistake that's happened to me. So when we were doing our second apartment, we were doing the bathroom and we wanted to rip out a horrible old shower and create this wet room thing. And to do that, we had to tank it. We had to get a tanking kit, and that basically just waterproofs the floor. You put it down around where the edges are before you put the tiles down, and it keeps everything waterproof. I did it. Me and my dad did it. We are not professionals, and that was clear by the finish because I don't know if it was 6 months or a year after, but the apartment downstairs had an almighty flood from our shower. It was not done properly. We fucked it basically, and we completely dropped the ceiling in from the apartment downstairs. So the lesson here is get a professional, especially if it's to do with water or electrics. Mistake number 20, and again, this is one that is very easy to make, to sleepwalk into, and it's one that you can make multiple times a week. We have a set changeover cost, and that changeover cost includes the welcome pack, the linen costs, all the little bits and pieces that happen for every changeover. Now I only found out, as well as the cleaning costs, now I only found out because we hadn't been checking it or reviewing it tightly enough that after probably over a year, I had been hemorrhaging, my business had been hemorrhaging money on every changeover and every clean on multiple properties because we hadn't increased the cost to keep them in line with what the actual true cost was. And that might be easy for you to do whenever you're a small outfit, but if you're starting to grow, if you're starting to scale, it can be easy to be like, that's the cost set, I don't need to think about that. But these things change. Regularly audit your changeover costs to make sure that you're not losing out. Mistake 21, and this was one, I look back now and shudder on this, but before we leased our linen and they came and lifted it, took it away and delivered clean stuff, we used to take all the dirty linen home, and I'm talking like dozens and dozens of dirty bed sheets and pillows and everything from all the apartments, store it in my house in a big pile of stinking smelly bedclothes, and then once a week tip them all out, count them to be picked up by the thing. Now, that is mental that we did that for so long, especially that whenever I phoned them, I was like, I can't be doing this anymore. Can you come and pick this up from somewhere else? They were like, yeah, no problem. Like, that's what everyone does. I don't know why you were even doing that in the first place. It's like, what the fuck? Not everyone is going to be leasing their linen, but if you're washing your own linen and towels, you're going to sort of know what I mean here by that. And like, there has to be a better way. Use a laundrette. Like, do not subject your house, your kids, your pets to this stinking dirty bedclothes and towels and fake tan and all the stuff and who knows what else from your guests. You don't need to do it. Life's too short. Respect your house, respect yourself. Mistake number 22, and back whenever we started, one of my USPs was that we met every guest that arrived. No lock boxes, no self-check-ins. There was a friendly face there to meet every single guest that arrived. That is how we got such good reviews. That is how we cut down on so many questions once guests were in house because we'd explained everything at the time. It was amazing, but as we grew, it got to the point where we couldn't be in 6 or 7 places at once. Everyone wanted to check in at 2 o'clock. And so I had a decision to make. Either we stop doing meet and greet or we find some way to keep doing it. So I started paying people, meeters and greeters that I found online 25 quid a go just to meet the guests. Now these people had to get up to speed with the apartments. I had to like send them. There was a lot of management involved in getting them to do it. But guess what? The reviews dropped anyway, because they didn't care as much about my business as I did. They were never going to give the same rapport, welcome, friendly face as me, and I was basically just throwing money away. Sometimes they didn't show up, sometimes they were late, and they actually made the guest experience worse than if I had just sent a key safe code to the guests. So the mistake here is prioritizing meet and greet far too much. Yes, the reviews are going to dip, but when you have a growing business like this, you cannot be in all those places at once. You cannot get perfection. Mistake number 23, and this is definitely one that all of you go through. I see it in Facebook groups all the time, and it's being bullied by guests who have just decided that they are going to take control, get some sort of refund, and just go after you as the host. It's not fair. It's horrible. I hate bullies. This is men and women. It does somehow seem to be more women that take the lead on this. I don't know why, but it's bullying. It's like, I'm going to get my legal team involved. Leave me a comment if you've made it this far and if you actually have heard this. I'm going to get my legal team involved. Trading standards, sales of good act. This is not what we expected. Like, I know I stayed for the entire week, but I want a full refund. All this shit at the threat of a negative review. Let them leave the review. If you can sleep well at night knowing you did everything you can to deal with their complaints at the time, then let them leave the review. Because what you can do is leave a response to that review, and that response is not going to be like, fuck you. It's going to be professional. It's going to lay out actually what happened to that guest, how you dealt with it. And yeah, people are going to read that negative review, but then they're also going to read your response. And if it's a professional, courteous, good response, they're going to be like, that guest was a complete dick. Now, if you've got value from this, the next video we need to watch is this one. Look, Airbnb can be hard, but it doesn't actually need to be. You can boil these things down and you can just make a killer business. So watch this next, trust me.